Every scene needs its villains, and ours has returned with a rallying cry. Behold the return of Lord Baltimore, aka Dumu, back on the ladder. We've got a fun one here, folks. Welcome back to the channel for a high-level pub game between Recon and Voldemort. We have got the Battle of the Brits. Dumu in the purple is going to be playing as Jeanne d'Arc, and then Recon on the other side from him going to be playing as the Japanese in the blue. Yeah, apologies for the colors. I know someone's going to mention something like blue and purple. It is what it is, but what would be cool, we just started another week of our weekly circuit, which you can catch live on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And while we wait for some extra games, I was looking for some interesting matchups. When I saw Japanese versus Jeanne, I had to pounce on that. I just don't feel like I'm getting to cast much Jeanne at the moment, unless I'm casting B series. So curious to see what Benny Boy is able to do with it. Yeah, curious to see how Recon's been progressing with Japan. You know, it's a civ that he's recently been figuring out. We've been talking about it, theory crafting certain elements. He's been rediscovering it since last time Recon played the game. I think was when Jeanne had just came out, when Japan had just came out alongside Jeanne. And Japan was very different then. You know, Yumi was a meme. The Mount Samurai dominance hadn't really been fully discovered. People were still experimenting with Onobugeisha type spam builds. There's a lot of different things going on there. You also had the dominance of Azutsu, if you guys remember that. There was a long time ago. I know it's actually very difficult to remember at this stage. But once upon a time, Azutsu were basically broken. They used to have, I think it was 6 melee armor, 6 ranged armor. Maybe it's like 4 or 5. And then they also had remarkably large splash damage. Like the blast radius was very big. Damn. Feels like a lifetime ago now. We'll just go for the 2x here. Actually, we'll 4x it up because the boys are getting ready to age up. Just want to give it a moment to see if there's going to be any aggro. Like, in theory, you could try for that as Japan for a Dark Age Rush. Especially with this type of spawn, the Golden Deer. But instead, both players just chill at home. School of Cavalry coming in for Dumu. And Recon is going to be on his way up with the Kura Storehouse. How you say this matchup usually goes? So for quite a while, it was kind of considered that, like, Japan absolutely hated playing against Jeanne and French. Because Crossbow. You'd eventually lose the game to arbitrary massing is the idea. More recently, though, you know, Japan has been doing okay ever since we shifted towards, like, Pro Scouts and we went through that Dark Age Rush meta. I think Japan has a little bit more variability. In this matchup, though, I do think it's tricky to utilize your best unit, which is Yumi. Just because of how effective Knights rather are until you have Mounted Samurai. So yeah, Rack's beginning. Recon, I would expect him just to kind of hunker down and play for Castle. Unless he sees his opponent goes Pro Scouts, in which case you could try to maybe aggro a little bit on the flanks. Still, it just feels very difficult to do. Like, what are you going to do? Build Horsemen? If he rushed the stone, he'd at least be able to get like an Uma Bannerman out, but he didn't, and with it being forward spawn like this, I wouldn't expect it. Alright, so Dimmu. That's interesting. Yeah, most players go Wheelbarrow into Pro Scouts, but Dimmu only went Pro Scouts. So it gives him a slightly quicker timing, but like the nice thing is with how cheap you get it, you can actually get both, right? Like double greed usually feels like it's a bit naughty, but not necessarily here. Recon, what do we got? Oh, he is actually going to do it. Yeah, so he goes Stables, Spears. I mean, in fairness, did he scout the ranged Jeanne? I think he might have there, which makes sense of it. How interesting. Yeah, I wasn't sure if he was going to jump into it, just because, like, if you're assuming Pro Scouts and you see it, you're probably assuming just Mass Knights, which means Horseman feels a bit devalued. Speaking of those Knights, nice dive in, does get a kill there. First blood drawn. Dimmu even gets out. It's almost like the spear isn't even there. Yeah, range Jeanne is very interesting here, by the way. I think, you know, you kind of have to do it against Japan. But the way this plays out these days, like the reason it used to be so good is that Japan always fast castled, so you use Jeanne to kind of snipe villages. But now Japan's found a lot more runway in feudal. This can be an exposure point. Because Horseman Yumi, I think, is the most done comp. In this matchup, it's probably going to be Horseman Spear. You don't really want to be going Yumi against the Knights. But against Jeanne, these guys are going to be kings. you know, as long as he doesn't trickle them out today. Gotta wait for tomorrow to strike with more. 3 horsemen is usually enough to scare the crap out of Jeanne. She's fast, but like if you catch her overextended on your side of the map, you can run her down. Second racks from Recon. Is he really feeling that threatened, or is this just because he knows Pro Scouts is happening and wants to stop it? Because the thing is, like, on the count, he doesn't need double racks. He's doing fine. And you can see that Recon is committing, by the way, because if this was a tech up play behind this, you'd see an outpost by now. Bugeisha? Oh my god. Recon just manifesting basement dweller aura here. What does a lady look like? There you go. I wasn't expecting this. You're playing against Jeanne. So you're facing off against Feudal Knights and Range Jeanne, and he goes Bugeisha. Now, the Jeanne is going to be less threatening. She goes down. Nicely played there. Gets the kill. Was that a misclick? I don't know. I mean, I don't mind the idea of like a Bugeisha to poke at exposed economy, but this is Pro Scouts, right? There isn't going to be exposed economy. Spears do show up in the base, but looks like we got a buyback out of Benny Boy. He's not actually quite able to get that kill. We'll have to run away. Perfect intercept now, able to block the Pro Scouts. And a little bit late on the drop there. It does end up losing one of the Scouts. And a spear switch now coming through, which, by the way, Recon just got early info on. All of a sudden, the owner Bugeisha idea isn't looking like pure insanity. It's very weird because Recon's comp begs for Archer counterplay. But Dumu, because of the Horseman, doesn't want to do it. Why do you have Range Jeanne versus Japan? Because if you go melee Jeanne and he just fast castles, Jeanne can't do anything. Like, melee Jeanne is terrible at stopping fast castle builds. Because you can't dive. It's too early in the game. It's just, it gets ugly. So, you know, the problem with melee Jeanne is if your opponent's fast castling, that means he's getting knights, especially Japan. So you just die. Range Jeanne, at least, you have a way of sniping villages if he goes like a double outpost.
Now you're my sugar daddy.
And also, you know, the other idea here is that you don't get overwhelmed by, you know, this massment of horsemen or units, etc. that can kite you. And what is up, Real Tiger? Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate the raid. Hope you had a good stream. Thank you, and welcome all. Casting a pub game right now, but we should have more KPMM coming up. Clash coming in with the Bugeisha. I love this, man. Recon is just so different to see. Feudal Bugeisha. And now Dumu's like, what the hell is this? He queues up archers. I has to be feeling quite a big step behind right now. It's crazy. Recon built 2 units up to double digits to encourage archer. Now what? Because the weird thing about this is, like, I'm not seeing the next step. Yumi? So not horseman. Because, like, I would have thought he goes back for horseman. I guess the problem here is now that you're scaling feudal, if you don't have a range type, you're just going to get slowly gattled down, right? Gatling gun down. And yo, what is up, Flesrude? Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate you. Welcome back to the Swarm. Good use of your prime. Thank you. Are we getting close to 400? Are we close to the 400? 376 out of 390 for the sub goal. Not bad. And we're now just 4 away from hitting our plus goal. You guys are legendary. Keep it up. It's like I think this matchup is going to be legendary. Can they keep it up? A feudal back and forth is dangerous against Jeanne. Yeah, I think that's like the other thing is maybe Dimu's looking at this thinking, why is he bulking disposable units like this? You know, mass Yumi, mass Owner Bugeisha, mass Spearman. These are the type of things that die very fast. You're at risk of feeding a lot of XP over to Jeanne. Nice marker there, Recon. Just braces with the spears. Bugeisha now show up to clear out the enemy spearmen, and the horsemen are rotating around the back. That's going to force Jeanne away. ridiculous. I'm like trying to be polite about it, but formation shuffling, man. I can't believe that. The way it kind of played out there, the Knights just body blocked perfectly. The weird-ass formation. Spear count getting a little low. And the Knight count is decent here, but I think Recon, the Horseman, is king. Yeah, Jeanne is just kind of becoming more and more of a liability now. She's essentially stuck in the front line. Down to half HP already. Pumps the Divine Restoration, but the Brigade can now gap close. Quick enough move there not to get pinned. Good thing she's 1.38 movement speed. If she had that 1.25 she used to, she'd be just surrounded and dead. Recon, this is wacky, man. He's got double melee tech, and this is the awkward thing, is that Dimu, he's prioritizing Undermesh to counterplay the Yuumi, but what about the Bugeisha? They're doing over half damage to Knights right now, which is kind of crazy. We have got a problem, however, for Recon. I mean, if this was against French, I like the idea, but against Jeanne, you are just inviting level 3. We're only a few moments away. He's not sniping her in a rush. No, she's able to get away from this. So 8 XP off. Final kill is going to come in. And that's level 3 Jeanne in Feudal Age. Not as broken as Melee Jeanne. Melee Jeanne is a game breaker in Feudal and Feudal. But this is going to be powerful. The Jeanne's Riders come out. The Yuumi won't have an answer to that. A little bit surprised we didn't get Champions because Champions count spears. But the problem he has is this comp by Recon is mobility. If he goes for Champions, they're really slow. And he'll just get kited. This is ridiculous, man. How does he see level 3 Jeanne and not just walk away? Right, like, you'd think that would be your alert to just go castle. Not Recon. I'm telling you, this boy is reformed. Compared to the Recon that we remember from a long time back, the defensive trash panda, this is a whole different guy. All right, what do you think, guys? Ones if you think Recon's going to win this game. Twos if you think that Dimu is. Thinks he has no chance versus Arbitrary in Castle? Eh. I think he just believes that he can starve Dimu out. Because remember, the Pro Scouts play, like, hasn't got all deer, right? I think he maybe didn't realize how much deer it got over here, though. Yeah, 2 taken from there. Taken 4 from the central one? Actually, 5. So almost all deer has been hoovered up by Dimu. Yeah, it's just deceptive because he stacked them all in one spot. I'll say things do look good for Dimu. I'm not surprised the amount of 2s coming out. Recon has at least been pocket ecoing himself onto the berries on the flanks. He's almost ready for castle. Might be a tricky defense, though. Is this diveable for Jeanne? He hasn't got a crazy count of Knights. Jeanne can go in for sure, but needs to be careful because of all the spears. You're down the range, Jeanne? I tell you, people do, man. I mean, Melee Jeanne, it's because there's so many clips of Melee Jeanne just looking broken, but never underrate the simple effectivity of range Jeanne. Also, really nice as you scale into this point in the game, because now you've got this effective coup de grace against Mad Samurai that are going to be coming in soon. You get them low, you can just shoot 1 arrow and finish them off. Dive underneath the TC. Dimu. 2 worker kills in this game, and it might be a lot more here. Recon has to stand his ground. The spears. Shove on in. And Dimu, I mean, this is a ballsy A-click. Wait, what? Loses the Knights. Jeanne will be able to retreat, but everything else dead. A heavy and expensive engagement for Dimu that yielded a small advantage, but nothing crazy here. And total 5 worker kills now, but remember, Recon, he can start to access relics, and Dimu still has to answer with an age up of his own. I don't feel like it's going to be that quick, actually. Forced to reinvest in Knights. Recon is going full Yuumi ham. Did he get the rest? Okay, he's almost got all deer now. Dimu's just kind of loving life. He's just hoovering so much off of this map. Recon just squaring up. But the weird thing is, I think for Dimu, he's probably paranoid that the Yuumi veterancy's been queued up. He doesn't know what we do, which is that Recon is just ham-fisting every tiny ounce of gold he's got into Mounted Samurai only. So yeah, no veterancy, which means the Knights aren't threatened. And with that discovery, Dumu decides to just charge forward again. Now, another interesting thing about Japan versus French is in the earliest days, it was actually seen that Japan was favored because, for some silly reason, French, the charge bonus doesn't activate on Mounted Samurai. If you deflective armor, if that's where your charge hit goes, you don't get your bonus damage after a charge with Knights. Yeah, good thing you didn't try to contest that at all, because like sometimes French Knights can just overwhelm Castle Knights. It would have been disadvantageous there because you'd be missing your +5 damage, or your +3 rather damage, which is a pretty big deal. Speaking of plus damage, things like cantled saddles might be coming in quick. Wasn't actually expecting this out of Dimmu, but we are going to be seeing Royal Institute. Oh wait, did they fix that? Did I miss that fix? Let me check patch notes. You might be right. It got left in for so long. I don't know where I'd find that in the patch notes. It's not like an obvious thing that would get listed on Knights on the Wikipedia pages, or Wikipedia rather. I feel like with the fights I've been seeing recently, it didn't feel like Knights are actually getting the charge. But maybe that's just the way that they're engaging. Samurai. Oh, going to be able to idle the goal. Pretty effective here. There's only hardened spearman as well. I mean, full-mounted samurai could actually just target the spears down and chase this through. Yeah, he freaks out. Dimmu has to come home. Okay, really good for Recon. He needs that space, that breathing time here. Because although Jeanne has a slight lead, soon Recon will be back ahead. Remember, with the current floating gate builds, Yorishiro drops in town centers are very popular as either the second or third Yorishiro drop. So far, we have got, what, one? Okay, yeah, one in the stables, one in the farmhouse. So we're probably looking at the next one dropping off in the town center. Samurai not able to get any kills in the back, but like we talked about, he has drawn all attention here. Dimmu is going straight into Royal Bloodlines. It's not a crazy number of knights, though. Only 11. Recon. I love this. We've got Onimusha. Yeah, not really your norm here. I feel like we don't see Onimusha that frequently out of Japan these days. But especially when you're up against things like the Royal Bloodlines Knights that are going to pull back to try and heal. It's a great way of just finishing off what would eventually come back full health again. It is a little bit shaky into range on, just because she has all the extra armor. Samurai's on the back, though. Again, Dimmu just idled out. Even going to be found out towards the ball. Freed too many villagers here. Why Yorishiro in the farmhouse? Because Recon is going for a timing attack. This extra food is actually really underrated. He's getting 75 extra food a minute, which just kind of allows him to keep this pump going. When food would run light, which it was going to because he played along feudal, this is going to be a nice little boon as you try to get more farms in gradually. Yeah, in particular, B has been phenomenal with this over the years. Ever since Japan got added, he was a big believer in the farmhouse play. We've seen games where he drops 2 or 3 of them in, and the nice thing about this is it's an easily pivotable play. Like, when you're done with it and you want a different Yorishiro, you delete a 50 resource building to get a new Yorishiro. Compared to production buildings where it's farm 50, or your TC where you can't delete it at all. 60 food? No, it should be 75. 70, sorry. 70? I think it's 70. There you go, 70. Yeah, Forge got nerfed to 50 a while back, but here's an interesting one for you guys. Did you know? You see that? If you drop it in a Wonder, you get an extra 4,000 HP. Damn it, what a spawn, by the way. I mean, kind of caused him a lot of pain earlier on, but just like back-to-back golds in the corner. It's just unfortunate. It's just so open and barren. Like, there's no way to wall this. Relic game is also getting a bit awkward. Recon has the edge, 3-1. But Dimu should be able to get the 2. Scary army. But this is such a Dimu move, man. Oh, he loves these. He's one of the few players we see do it, actually. He's got Jeanne's riders coming. And quite a lot of them. Guys, these are really expensive. 200 resources, the same price as a Keshik, but they have phenomenal ranged armor. 7 ranged armor. They also get damage, bonus damage against crossbows. And I believe they fixed this a while ago where Onimusha get secretly classified as crossbows so that the riders do get the bonus damage against them. So it actually works out pretty nicely. I'm pretty sure they changed it that way. I mean, it's awkward because at this point you probably should just add like a crossbow tag on the front end to Onimusha. So it's not confusing for people to understand. All locked in the north. Recon, how are we doing on farms? Okay, so like it's fleshing out nicely, up to 23. I'm a bit worried for Dimu. Is like he went for Royal Institute, which is a timing attack, but you aren't really hitting that timing. No, it almost feels like Guildhall would have felt better at this rate. Maybe he just felt like he needed Royal Institute to feel safe. Why not just give them bonus versus range units? Because that would just make them a giga stacked horseman. I think they wanted to find a more niche role. Like, for example, you know, for what you pay, the idea of like the men-at-arms, the better men-at-arms, is not worth on its own. It's the fact that they get good damage against spears. They try to give it like a balance point because with the 6 ranged armor and the base health, if it was plus against range, these things would just be ridiculous. So yeah, the idea is to make them a counter crossbow, but not make them completely broken against crossbow. Because if you had 6, 7 armor, and then you were like not just effective against crossbowmen, but like you're effective against archers and these other things, hand cannoneers, like I don't know, it would get ridiculous. Flash coming through. Recon. He doesn't have any way of killing range Jeanne, guys. Oh my god, it's going to happen again. What? The riders jump on in. All right, moment of truth. Do they actually get that bonus? I don't think so. No, it looks like they're striking for 18. So they didn't fix that. Oh, okay. Or rather they did. Maybe it wasn't intended. Because there was a time, I'm pretty sure, where the riders were getting that bonus. But my god. What am I looking at here? Jeanne de Blas comes on through. She's Duncan. Just a double kill on the exit there. I can't believe this, man. 25 minutes in, we've already got level 4 Jeanne. Now classified as a siege weapon. Don't fat shame her. And what did we say was the weakness of Japan? The thing that they hate most. What is Dimu now left with? It's crossbows. It's just bulk arbitrary. Yeah, the knights already just got melted, which, you know, is unfortunate considering the investment in royal bloodlines, but a recon, this comp ain't going to like playing into arbitrary. Mad Samurai going to melt it. And also, Onimusha do nothing because all you have to do is stand here and press Q. Once you press Q, you get an extra 5 ranged armor. All of a sudden, Onimusha look pretty damn pathetic, especially when you consider their starting base damage is lower than standard crossbows. Not just that, these are better crossbows. I think this is probably where Dimu starts to prep the crossbow stirrups. And on top of that, because he went Jeanne de Blas with Valorous Inspiration, he's got that attack speed buffer. What's up, Dace? Appreciate the raid, bud. Yeah, this is like... This is probably the most busted comp for late game Jeanne, in my opinion. Because with crossbow stirrups, you go down to 1.7-ish attack speed. And then when you press the attack speed boost, you go down to 1.3-ish. So you're attacking quicker than an archer normally does. It is ridiculously powerful. Like, it puts you on par with like longbow attack speed or aura speed on a crossbow. Now the cannon. Oh my god, this is twice now. Well, Dumu's been bailed out of what looked like a bit of a worrisome position because of the power of that level up. Twice that Recon has been suckered into taking that fight to feed the XP in. I mean, at this point, Jeanne in this game has just been laying on a conveyor belt being fed Twinkies. Recon, this cannon is a ball egg, man. Like, after all the work building the farms. Horseman switch from Recon. Smart choice here into Arbitrary. They do have the Gambesons, which makes it very difficult. Not just that, this is a super effective front line. Remember, Jeanne's riders scale with her, not with your age. Look at the stats. They went from 6 ranged armor to 7. And the health now at 332. This is your front line. I don't like what's happening right now from Dumu. Like, he wasn't expecting the Shogunate, so forgivable, but you don't want to be diving this. The idea, though, these very expensive riders, they will create that plump front line to protect against horsemen. They will also take no damage from Onimusha. We're talking about 10 ranged armor against a mere 12 damage. This is a pathetic exchange for Recon. And, like, you can't just say spears, right? You switch spears into Arbitrary. Melee is going to do no damage there. It's good against the riders, at least. But we already mentioned that, like, the Arbitrary can kind of stand their ground against Onimusha and Spearman because of the Pavis drop. And then the Gambeson's melee armor. Things are about to get better. Dimu queues up the crossbow stirrups. Bombard will begin to siege in. He's deleted a lot of buildings here with this. Recon. She's just like, screw this crap, I'm going. So he's going to be marching out. Not a bad idea. Like, you know, it's very hard to just headbutt that fight right now. So instead, why not just cut reinforcements? I mean, in fairness, Recon could take the fight. Here's the fort, guys. You already fed him to level 4. There is no level 5. Oh my god, could you imagine if it was level 5? Guys, what would we make level 5 Jeanne? So let's make it like 5,000 XP. And she just summons a Tower of the Sultan that she stands on top of, shooting everyone. You know what we need? Like, has anyone played Total War Warhammer? What we need is Thorgrim. We need Thorgrim Grudgebearer, you know, the guy who gets carried around. We just need, all of a sudden, this cav needs to turn into a throne with a bunch of servants carrying her around. Well, it's time for the fight. Recon. Hold up. Cannon's exposed and gone straight away, and it's going to be an immediate jump in. Yeah, but Onimusha, they do nothing. Remember, she doesn't have the heavy tag. She barely registers damage here. But it's a bail. Dumu has to run away. Oh, God. He was overconfident about this. The good news is the maiden won't die easily. The bad news is, where's your army? Yeah, we're going to need a level 5 attack helicopter for sure here. Maybe a Harry strike. Maybe she just has a self-destruct button that nukes an entire... Yes! We need demo ship, Jeanne. There we go. Don't worry, guys. I think Jeanne will win this fight. I mean, if it's a range fight, yes. Has to dodge the bullet. Can't really justify having to spend 1,000 gold. He's got it in reserve, but he's going to need it for elsewhere. Dive now coming in. Recon's just going to look to end the game. Go straight after the landmarks. This looks over, man. I can't believe it as well. The amount of XP that Recon fed in this game, and it's just irrelevant. Landmark down. Here's 2 TC from Dumu. He's built a decent lead, right? And the farm count is looking good, actually. He's up to, what, 49 farms? So if he can just spam out Jeanne's riders, he might actually get a stay of execution here. Recon, no. Go. Go. Dive. Dive. This is the moment. The problem is Recon doesn't see what we do. He maybe assumes there's a lot of horsemen waiting behind this. There's also a castle, but The castle's kind of just out there. It's not really much stopping you from shutting down this area fully. Instead, just taking the more strategic approach of denying production, denying houses. And teching as well. So recon will be going into the Imperial Age. Something that I somehow don't really see Dumu ever doing. You just need so much army. You know what? Like, I actually like the idea that Jeanne should turn into an attack helicopter. She just slaps on a French Air Force badge. I mean, that would give him a way of winning, right? A little bit broken. Imagine having range Jeanne flying, and the only thing you can hit her with is range units, where she gets damage reduction. Cast the Crow's now coming through. We have a random Yumi from Recon. I'm starting to wonder if he realizes that Uma Bannerman buffed the Onimusha. I mean, this could just be a mystic as well. Remember, it used to be back when the DLC first released and when Recon would have last been playing, it used to be that you needed the Yumi Bannerman to buff Onimusha. But then they changed it because they realized it's really silly. Like, you might as well have it be a cavalry unit to go with a cavalry unit. Otherwise, what ends up happening is the Yumi Bannerman never keep up. Don't know what Dumu was building that entire time. 2 TC, mass farms, and 2 keeps. Like, we were so fixated on the demolishment of the base, we didn't really block it as well. And props to him, man. Like, it's pretty impressive, actually, that he got the eco lead. I am a bit shocked Recon backs all the way off. He's playing for Sacred Site win conditions instead. Yeah, a little bit surprising that he actually goes for that. I would have just expected him to probably play all in from here. But, you know, the castles maybe have him a little bit paranoid. He just wants to potentially set up cannons. The weirder part to me is the Castle of the Crow. Why did he build Castle of the Crow? I mean, it's a good injection of resources, but normally we see this landmark when you feel threatened. In what position was Dumu going to threaten you here? No Castle of the Pigeon? Yo, if there was a Castle of the Pigeon, you'd insta-win, alright? The world would be screwed without pigeons, okay? We are loyal. We are the best deliverers. We are also the best information gatherers because we're all secretly cameras designed by the government. What was a crow done recently? Stolen something shiny? Oh, good. A thief. Wait, he actually might kill this. yeah. Legitimately, Jeanne could kill that on her own, by the way, guys. Because funny thing here, range tags. The cannon doesn't count and the rockets don't count as siege, they count as range. And she gets heavy reduction from ranged attacks. So, like, you could actually just stand there and kill it with Jeanne. Also the best carrying a disease. Yo, we're not alone in that, okay? We're substantially less of a douchebag than seagulls. I just don't think Recon realizes just how far ahead he is. And he's like, why rush? I'll slow roll. But like, Sacred Site has been decapped. Dimu still has not aged up, but he's close. Can he get it? Recon is going to dive in. Goes after the castle. Incendiaries is about to complete, so this is going to increase his siege. Allow him to blitz through this a bit faster. This is weird though, man. This is such a weird game. And Varus Inspiration does come in. So here we go. Crossbow's Gatling gun speed. 1.41 seconds for every attack. Recon trying to go for that trade out on the backside, but the Beast Drop is going to make his life a lot harder. Mounted Samurai have been upgraded. Jeanne's riders are falling fast. Recon still with a handful of knights left here. But the Red Palace is on the way back in the base. It's all he really needs. Once that's up, crossbow emplacements in will push Recon away. And I'm getting a little bit worried that Recon's waited too long here. The good news for him, he has all the gold in the world. Dumu has none. and does not have Guildhall as a comeback mechanic. But it definitely is starting to feel like Dumu's been allowed to live a lot longer in this game than you would expect. Yeah, I imagine Recon's looking back at this game and going, oh, wow, I didn't realize he was just like that dead. This is the power of vision. You know, remember that whenever you watch these games, you want to criticize, I don't know why this player done that thing. Why didn't you do that? You know, it's fine to ask those questions. It's fine to dissect it, but also remember they don't see everything. Recon, you know, he didn't see the state of things back here. Maybe he didn't think that Dumu was being that greedy. Maybe he thought that there wasn't that many farms, so that he didn't need to rush an end. Recon, he is just going to anchor down, I guess, right? Back to Sacred Sites. Yep, castle drop coming in. So he's going to start the timer. But this is buying time for Dumu. Look at what he's doing. We said he's out of gold. There's only one option left if that's going to happen. Trade now coming in. Still, Recon has an outpost here. This is... I feel like this should be dead obvious. People don't tend to stonewall to protect a tree line. They tend to stonewall to protect trade. Especially more recently. I feel like stonewalls have become quite rare. He does go straight into the merchant guilds. Remember, this is the one that just gives extra gold gen. So every 6 seconds, each trader will just generate 1 gold. Which is interesting because it basically is enclosures. We'll get eyeballs on the fact that gold is running out. Recon hasn't done what he's known for. Yeah, we call him the Trash Panda, but he actually has another nickname, and that's the Tricky Trader. Recon was very good at always finding a way to trade with the oddest civs. Seriously, guys, like, if you have a look at it, you'll see what I mean. In the past, we've seen him, for example, trade with Roos. Which, this was long before other people were even thinking about that. Even now, it's a very rare occurrence. But he would seek it out, no matter the civ. Could Dumu win this? If he gets the trade count up to like 30, sure. But Recon has the right idea. He's moved south side. He's got the cannons coming out. The castle's not going to last long against that. On top of that, Recon has switched into hand cannoneers. Now, remember what we said about the riders? Super effective against crossbows. No bonus damage against hand cannoneers, though. The armor's good, sure, but 10 armor is a nice reduction on the hand cannoneer damage. But it's still difficult to sufficiently reduce 38 damage. Not just that. The Yumi Bannerman from Japan will give you an extra 5 damage. So the riders, all of a sudden, all that hard work, you know, you're only mitigating less than 25% of the damage taken. And Recon, yeah. Wait. Okay, so Dumu has been sniping the bombards. Because remember, Jeanne, her Q does 150 damage. So she's very good at taking those siege weapons out. So Recon thinks about going for a wall and a gate. I think instead there, though, the trebuchets were maybe what should have been the real intent. Unfortunately for him, Dumu's got double cannon. This game is getting wacky. Stonewall's now going up from Recon, just trying to cut up the map. Thought about a dive, regrets it when he sees the castle. This is such a weird game. And I love it. And it's so cool to see Jeanne in action again. And, you know, we have some civs where it's like, don't let them get late game, don't get them late game, don't let them get late game. And I think Jeanne is really starting to slot into that. People just seem to be better than what I remember in the way they use Jeanne de Blast in the late game. Recon. Let's reveal the hand cannoneers. Now remember, the riders, they're fairly tanky, but they're also not going to do too much damage, is the idea. Saying that, I mean, there's 20 damage into a hand cannoneer. It's not terrible. It's like, by comparison, though, horsemen much cheaper do much more damage. Right? You see right there, horsemen will do 30 damage into a ranged enemy. And they don't have that much less armor, really, to be fair. It's an extra 2 ranged armor you get on riders. The most important thing is the health difference. 332 compared to 225 is a big, big difference. Make sure if Royal Bloodlines being powerful and riders' base health being high. Push out here. Dimu does force Recon to retreat. Getting breathe room as he swells up the trade account. We're only at 12 currently. So definitely has some ways to go. I mean, this is the tricky thing, by the way. Jeanne's riders, they cost gold. Not a lot of gold, but it's taking away from your trader coffer. Which is why this 3k will go a long way. If Recon lets you have it. He's going to go in for a clash over it. There's a rotation around the back. Arbitrary do go for the police drop. The horsemen are now charging in. So there we go. He gets the good trade. Just not enough melee line here. Castle's going to go up. The front line is down. Onimusha are going to snipe down the workers. So Dimu just desperately trying to scramble for what little gold he can get. He doesn't even try to garrison the castle. Arbitrary are going to get cleared. So great fight from Recon. He is missing the siege to now deal with this castle, though. So Dimu should maybe slow Recon down a little bit with his defense. I think technically, though, you could just kind of dive in. There's a spot right here, right? If you get here, you block trade. Yeah, I just think that Dumu's made it very obnoxious. He's got a castle drop here, castle drop here, castle drop here. And remember, it's not just a castle, it's a castle with those arbalest emplacements that hit very hard. I can't believe he's just basically shooting this to death. Seriously, he's just shot it down. I think he had about, what, 6 torches? Okay, 10. And the timer keeps ticking. We're now 6 minutes away from a victory for Recon. I'm trying to figure out if Dimu has enough time. Stone walls are going up. Double castle north. Recon's army just looks and feels a lot better. Like, the one up that Dimu has is Jeanne. The attack speed buffer is a game changer, but you have to be very careful about position now. Before, when it's Onimusha, sure, like, Onimusha just don't really do any damage to Jeanne, but hand cannoneers are noteworthy. In fact, I'd like to see Recon steering more into hand cannoneers. Like, just use some Onimusha to raid and get more gunners. It might be that he wants the mobility for sacred sites, which kind of makes sense. Double rocket launcher town now. The army is going to show up. Villagers pretty much are going to be able to get that wall up. Yeah, there's a few on top of it, so guaranteed. So pause on the sacred sites, but no decap available. Dimu still has to solve this puzzle. I don't know about you, but I hate puzzles. They got pieces and you have to put them everywhere. They always get in the way. And they get between your toes. And they get in everything and it's coarse. And now I'm just doing the Anakin speech. Need some Randys? What, for Japan or for Jeanne? You kind of have le petit problème, right? It's like you can't actually get Randys if you don't go for Tanagashima Gunsmith. You want it for Jeanne. You want Jeanne to build Randys against this many Onimusha. Like, they both have a lot of ranged, but the Onimusha can reach in and get kills much easier. What do they call them? Randys? You know, I was hoping it was going to become an English main thing, and then it just makes more sense to call them Reginald. But sadly, English never build them. They usually get built against them. All right, 4 minutes away from a Sacred Site victory. I think Dumu probably has one big pump and dump at this. Because remaxing this army is going to get really expensive. You know, it's almost 200 food per rider, so you can get 20 in your current. Hand cannon numbers are going up. Why does Dumu keep scanning crossbows? Probably feels like he hasn't got enough gold. Also, it's weird in like you can go hand cannoneer to mirror hand cannoneer, but you're not really favored piece to piece. You'll have that attack speed burst, but across a longer fight, the Ashigaru will have the +5 damage. And yes, the hand cannoneer Ashigaru are the best voice line in the game by far. They're absolute psychopaths, and oh, they go straight after Jeanne. That's a click away from it now. Crossbow's trying to dive in. Valor's inspiration. He'd be running out soon. He's going to have to back away. I don't think he's breaking in here, no. The horseman spam from Recon is holding on. The hand cannoneers on the wall have been so infuriating as well. Finally, the wall does get broken. Yeah, it's making a big difference. Remember, when you stand on the wall, you take notably less damage. These Crossbow's lives are living hell, and now Recon able to just commit onto said arbitrary. Varus inspiration is on cooldown, so you no longer have that burst attack speed. Dumu now with the glorious switch into Royal Knights, but the problem is he didn't clear the Onimusha. No, 34 of the ladies stand strong, which means Knights are going to be trickling into death here. Horsemen just keep on pushing. Arbitrary count is also down now as well. And it is indeed happening. It looks like the Trash Panda is able to get one up and over on Dumu here. Recon catching up again on Age of Empires 4 quick, man. Impressive game out of him. Could have been over a lot quicker. I think Recon said something about hating playing late game, but he kind of done this to himself. This is one of the most fed Jeannes I've seen. And even then, she could have been killed about halfway through this game. But outcome seems inevitable here. We're now a minute and a half away from a Sacred Site victory. Love to see Recon just quickly starting to find his feet again in Age of Empires 4. We need to see more players that can make those deep runs. More players that can contest the top 3. You know how I feel about this, guys. I've said it before. You know, we are talking about peak RTS experience when you are able to look at a top 16 bracket and say there are 12 players here that could all potentially be champions. And it not sound like you are pulling a rope, but you're saying something just for the narrative. Cannon spam coming in. Dumu once again to break the wall, but that choke point was death for him last time. How is it any different now? He thought about Knights for a second, just ended up going back to the same comp, so nothing has changed. And even if it stretches further, we've already got the tricky trader starting to rise up here, but I think he knows, like, that would be wasteful. Just put the last gold into this. You're 30 seconds off of a victory. Flash now coming in. Wall's going to break again. Hand cannoneers have to get on the high ground just to try and hide from the riders. Horsemen are starting to spread out. It's going to be a dive in, though. He needs to get on that Sacred Site. It's 15 seconds to go. And he's body blocked. He can't get in. No, looks like he won't be able to pause the timer. Maybe just a rush through here at the last second. And now it's a desperation scramble, right? You've got barely any riders left. Recon just could A-click his way through. 4 seconds on the clock. Jeanne's going to need to step up if he wants to try and win this. But with Horseman in front of her, it's her worst nightmare. A dive comes on in. But just a few Horsemen is all it's going to take. Jeanne will go down with this ship. Recon will lock it in. The most fed Jeanne I think I have ever seen. And still, it was not enough.